All rise, veuillez vous lever. The International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals is now in session. La Joint Mécanisme International pilier exercer la fonction residuelle de tribunal pénal actuate. Please be seated.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is case number MICT-13-56-A, the prosecutor versus Ratko Mladić. Thank you.
Would you understand? Shall we start again? Mr. Mladić, can you hear the proceedings in a language you understand?
I can.
Next, I would like to call appearances of the parties. First, counsel for Mr. Mladić.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ratko Mladić and Miodrag Stojanović for Mr. Mladić today.
Thank you. Now for the prosecution.
Good afternoon, Madam President. For the prosecution, it's Barbara Goy, Laura Beg, Ian Reid, and myself, Amir Zetz. Thank you.
Thank you. As you are aware, Rule 69B of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence of the Mechanism requires that the appeals chamber or an appeals judge convene a status conference within 120 days of the filing of a notice of appeal, and thereafter every 120 days from the last status conference. At the outset, let me reiterate the two primary purposes of a status conference. First, a status conference facilitates exchanges between the parties so as to ensure the conduct of expeditious appeal proceedings. Second, it provides an opportunity to review the status of the case and to allow a defendant in custody pending appeal an opportunity to raise issues in relation to detention, including his mental and physical condition. Today's status conference is the fifth to date in this case. It was scheduled by an order issued on 29th August 2019 and is being conducted within 120 days of the last status conference in this case, which was held on the 13th of June 2019. I will begin by briefly summarizing the procedural history and then turn to the situation and health of Mr. Mladić. After this, the parties will have an opportunity to raise any other issues they may wish to raise within the scope of Rule 69. I now turn to the recent procedural history of the case. Following extensions of time granted to parties totaling 210 days, the briefing of the appeals in this case concluded on the 29th November 2018 with the filing of the reply briefs. The appeals chamber is studying the parties' submissions in preparation for a hearing of the appeals. At the last status conference, an issue was raised by both parties about providing them with advance notice of the appeal hearing. In this respect, I would like to inform you that the appeals chamber will inform the parties about the timing of the appeal hearing well in advance of such a hearing. If possible, further information may be provided early in the new year before the next status conference. There are currently 5 motions pending before the appeals chamber relating to the admission of additional evidence on appeal. Briefing in respect of these motions has concluded on 28th June 2019. The appeals chamber is deliberating and its decision will be issued in due course. Now, I would like to turn to the situation and health of the appellant. I would like to begin by inquiring into Mr. Mladić's state of health and the conditions of detention. If there are any excuse me. If there are any concerns in relation to Mr. Mladić's detention conditions or Mr. Mladić's state of health, I would invite you to raise them now, and if you wish, this discussion can take place in closed session. Counsel for Mr. Mladić.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I think that today we'll have to go to a private session briefly.
Thank you, Registrar. We would like to go into closed session.
We're back in open session, Your Honors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, at this point, I would like to ask the parties whether they have any other issues other than what you have addressed to raise. But before doing so, just let me mention that in order to facilitate scheduling, I would like to inform you that I intend to hold the next status conference on 30th of June 2020. Should the parties foresee that they would not be available on that date, I ask that you raise this with Mr. Roman Boyd. What did I say? I'm sorry, I've been corrected. The next status conference will be on the 30th of January, not June 2020. Should the parties foresee that they would not be available on that date, I ask that you raise this with Mr. Roman Boyd by email within a week, in any event by 10th of October 2019. Now, Counsel for Mr. Mladić, do you have any issue that you'd like to raise on behalf of Mr. Mladić in open session?
Very shortly, Your Honor, nothing concerning Mr. Mladić's health.
Okay,
But
thank you.
scheduling, as you promised, that you will inform us well in advance to the oral hearings. I just want to stress that my co-counsel, Mr. Ivetić, is involved in one case in Arusha. So we are a bit afraid of double booking, since he will do a great part in this presentation. And also I'm back to normal life. I have some obligations in Belgrade with another trial. So we would really appreciate to be informed well in advance. And we hope that we will have enough time. We wanted to propose to be informed at least 3-4 months in advance before oral hearing, if possible. Next thing is that we would appreciate if your honors would have specific questions regarding our oral presentation, that those questions we receive also in advance, so we can prepare and to facilitate court economy.
Okay.
And that was all, Your Honor, and thank you for giving us a chance to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prosecution, do you have any issues to raise?
Simply to note, Madam President, that we also appreciate your indication that you will that you will inform us of the timing of the appeal hearing in advance. Thank you.
Since there are no other issues or matters, I thank everyone for their attendance and call this status conference to a close.
All rise. We will away.